Hey everybody, I want to do a quick recap of the interview I got to do with Sara Hughes. Humble's the nickname I gave her because on camera, off camera, it just comes through her authenticity, her love for the game, and her passion. But her eyes got real narrow when she said, competitively, we're going to send some teams home. She means business. She's out for gold. And in the process of doing that, she knew that she had to have mentors and people that have had success before her as her teachers. And that's why she chose Misty May-Treanor. Misty had won 3 gold medals in beach volleyball. And not only did she choose her as a teacher, but she took everything she said to the bank. She hired her sports agent. She had her strength and conditioning coach. She had her chiropractor, which would be me. She had a number of things that she put in place and said, I'm just not going to veer from the recipe. I think for a lot of people listening, success leaves clues. One of the ways I like to teach is modeled behavior. This is what I do. Here's how you can do it too. I also like to teach the lessons without the mistakes. So if I could teach you the lesson without making the mistake, even better. But here's really where kind of the cool personal side of this is that Misty and Sara met when Sara was 8 years old. And she just locked her sights and said, I'm going to be an Olympic gold medalist and I'm going to be a champion. Well, she won multiple national championships in college at USC, fight on, at USC, University of Southern California. And then she followed through and she didn't waver. So when she mentioned some casual things like my friends were going out or they were partying and she was like, oh, I have volleyball in the morning. Meaning I can't go out because I have volleyball in the morning. She was just locked into, this is who I am. And what this requires of me is I don't go out drinking. I don't show up to practice hungover. She just wasn't willing to do it. She was unwavering in her principles and her purpose, which is to win a gold. And if you want it, whatever it is, you got to commit to it like that. Because there'll always be distractions. There'll always be celebrations. There'll always be a reason to eat cake and ice cream when you're on a diet. There'll always be reasons to have a beer when you said you weren't going to drink. There's always going to be reasons to do the things that don't serve you in your mission. But how committed are you? Now, I'm also an advocate of scheduling some time where you're not going to follow the rules. You're going to schedule some time where you get to have some fun. And as Sara and I talked about, that's called unplug to recharge. I think any entrepreneur listening, when possible, should take a vacation every 90 days. Could be a 4-day staycation. Could be a quick little resort run locally, massages and nice dinners with your significant other, your spouse. But every 90 days, you got to check out so you come back and you can really check in. Unplug to recharge. Sharpen the axe. Be more efficient, more effective. It's sometimes stepping away and then you come back to it laser focused. But when you're back to it, then it's not time for distraction. And that's really what I saw in the personification of Sara's approach. And she took everything Misty said as gospel. She took everything Misty said as the recipe. And the truth is, it's what's worked. And so as we got into the interview, some of the things that I will certainly come back to is interviewing Sara after the Olympics and getting really deep on her performance and her routine. I wanted to do this as a bit of a setup and a get to know you, and the fact that she took a 2-year MBA course and crammed it into one, it gives you a mentality. If you're looking for role models for your children, certainly girls as athletes, follow Sara. Her values as a human, I have no doubt, are going to carry not just from sports, but into business as well. So I'm excited to see what other endeavors she has. Her partners and the strategic corporate alliances she's made are far beyond her years in wisdom and also dependent upon her winning a gold. So the stakes are high, the pressure's on. But I want to tell you, the story is cool. And the person behind it is even cooler. So I'm going to have her come and speak at my crash event for Level Up Docs. I want you to get to know her and up close and personal. I'm going to have her share specifically her performance techniques and trainings that did not work, which I think is important for doctors to hear, and also the tweaks she made so it did work. And then obviously in a second interview I'll be doing with Sara, I'm going to share that with this audience too. So please don't forget to follow us. Click the notifications button. And on YouTube, we're going to put some extras in an MP4 format that you probably need to see. So certainly if you're here on YouTube, we always appreciate 5-star reviews and the comments. But if you follow us, you're also going to get the insider scoop of the things you need to see from Sara. When I'm in Paris, I'll be adjusting her at the Olympic Games. I'm going to be doing some interviews from her courtside as well. Just quick sound bites, lessons for docs from the arena, the beach volleyball court arena. And as we do this, I want to just bring to the surface a couple things that she shared with me off camera. She does ice baths and cold plunges up to 5 minutes almost every day. One of the things she knows is that it actually decreases whole body inflammation. It also helps her body naturally with a reactant factor. You see, you can take anti-inflammatory pills and anti-inflammation drugs, and you can take things over the counter like Advil. But it's the teaching of your innate response system. It's the teaching of your innate immune system to have a reactant factor to decrease inflammation with your natural cell physiology that really needs to be initiated. In other words, it needs to teach your body how to respond to an inflammatory state. If you don't have the ability yourself to get into a cold plunge, what is known is the most cold receptors are in the face. So even if you stuck your face in a cold bowl for a minute of water, there's still a response in the body that's going to initiate a fat-burning metabolism. It's going to initiate reactant factors that have an anti-inflammatory aspect in the body just from cold exposure. However, her time underwater in ice cold baths has been super beneficial for the joints and the areas that typically give her a problem. Now, she also has a specific workout routine we're going to get more into in a future interview. She has a great strength and conditioning coach. If I can track him down, we'd love to put on this podcast as well. So we got some really good stuff coming that I want to share with you. Her insight, the fact that she uses chiropractic care on a regular basis, is something she doesn't want to give up at the Paris Olympics, so I'll be adjusting her in rhythms and routines. That's normal for her. My question for you as a listener is, what are your routines that allow you to be most beneficial and have the highest performance? I think everybody listening needs to have a sleep routine. What the sleep routine should not include is watching television immediately before bed. What your sleep routine should not include is reading off an LED screen right before bed. Reading a book on paper is fine, but when you have screens illuminating your face and your eyes before bedtime, not your best move. Aromatherapy has a lot to do with the brain initiating emotions and sensitivities. So if you do have a certain smell or aroma in your room before bedtime, it starts to allow the brain to calm down. And this would be like putting lavender lotion on a baby if you've raised children. You know, this concept of a smell associated with bedtime, they really do start to calm down. It's the same thing for you as an adult. One of the oldest parts of the brain is the olfactory system. Smell initiates emotions, and one of those emotions might be calm. And let's call it what it is. More people need some calm in their routine, and certainly before bedtime. Deep sleep is going to be a dishwasher of the brain. It's going to calm you down on a much bigger level. It's going to eliminate decision fatigue the next day. So if you are an executive and you have to make decisions, improper sleep oftentimes will give you decision fatigue. Now, it's been hypothesized that people like Steve Jobs wear all black, so they have just one less decision to make. In other words, what am I going to wear today? It's the same thing always, because they were cognizant of this anomaly called decision fatigue. And too many decisions, especially towards the end of the week, pushes you into a hindbrain function, which is very primal, fight, flight. That then induces cortisol, stress hormone in the body. For the men listening, if you don't do something physical with the cortisol, lifting weights, physically active, then it actually starts to turn into stress and fat in the form of estrogen in the body. So please understand, using these things in a routine and a rhythm for your body is of the utmost importance. And for the athletes who are listening to this, I'm going to have Sara really share some of the things on the next interview that are kind of the critical keys to her success physically, her recovery time, which is important for anybody playing club sports, high school sports, where you're going tournament to tournament, and then realizing something like an ice bath might be a simple addition for a high school athlete, middle school athlete's routine. There are benefits there too. And if you can't do it because of the hotel room you're in or your setup where you live, there are always workarounds and things that I want to point out after the next interview. Something like sticking your face in a bowl full of ice, a minute, 2 minutes at a time. Remember to breathe. but because of the cold receptors in the face, you can have a similar physiologic reaction throughout the body, even without submersing your whole body. Now, if you are doing ice plunges and cold baths, I'm going to remind you to get your face under. A lot of times people go up to their neck and they don't do the face. Well, you're also missing out on that particular benefit. So off camera, Sara and I had a really good chuckle and a good laugh about this, that people don't like to put their face under. It's one of the best things you can do. And so really maximizing whole body in a wellness mindset, really approaching this from an inside-out belief system that the body's intelligent, it can do the healing, and really kind of looking at some of the most state-of-the-art information that's available to these athletes. What I love about beach volleyball is they don't have the huge paychecks that you might find in the NFL or the NBA. And so these athletes are resourceful. They know what they can do on the cheap to make things work. They know what they have to do for their body. And as a result, they don't veer off that. So listen, if you didn't listen to that interview of myself with Sara, plenty of accolades for Misty May-Treanor, her coach, her mentor, her idol. But I also want you to get on the bandwagon for Sara when it comes to the Olympics. She's a phenomenal athlete. She's excelled in everything she's done. And she has this really unique ability. When she got to the top, she didn't come off the mountain. She didn't have these major setbacks or breakdowns. An unlucky break with COVID for the 2020 Olympics. But what's really unique is she's kept the edge and that domination for an extended period of time. So we're going to get into some of those things on our next interview. But if you have a moment, please throw her some love on her social media, her Instagram. And as you're listening to this, if you have not yet been introduced to her, follow her through the Paris 2024 Olympics and beyond. She's just an awesome role model for your children. And if you're a coach of any kind, certainly for the players you look after. Sara Hughes is her name. The honor was mine. Her idol was Misty May-Treanor, and you're going to hear from us again. Hey, everybody. Cheers from the Paris Olympics. We'll see you soon.